Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna share with you a sample of a hair mineral analysis report that I've done on a patient. So when you look at the report on your screen, you will see that it's divided into four parts, okay? The first part where it says nutrient minerals, that is the part that will tell me what kind of major minerals or micro minerals or trace minerals they are lacking in your body. So if you're looking from left to right, you're going to start off with calcium, magnesium, and then you're going to go on all the way to phosphorus. So the first four minerals, calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium, are what we would call your major minerals. And then iron onwards, all the way up to phosphorus, those would be what we would call a micro minerals or trace minerals. So let's look at the report. So in that report, you will see absolute numbers, meaning that what is my calcium scores, what is my magnesium score, what is my manganese score, and things like that. And at the same time, you will see in the middle of the first section of that nutrient mineral section, you will see a wave of blue bar that, on the overlay, it says ideal. So basically what we want is that nobody gonna be perfect. What you want to do is, as long as any and all of your numbers are within that blue band, that's what we want to achieve for, okay? And when you see the gray dashes that are in the middle of that blue band, or blue wave, if you will, that just shows that would be the optimal number that you want. And trust me, in my how many years of doing this hair mineral analysis test, nobody has had perfect scores. So let's not beat ourselves too much. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So for example, for calcium, the optimal number should be 40. And then for magnesium, the optimal number should be 6. And for sodium, the optimal number should be 25. So let's pay attention to this particular patient, a 43-year-old female, with history of irregular menstruation, chronic fatigue, and a little bit of premenopausal symptoms. So if you see that her sodium level is way below the bottom part of the blue band, and let alone nowhere near what the optimal number of 25 should be for sodium. So that's how we analyze that. Okay, so her number at the moment is at 8. Whereas if you look at some of her other numbers, such as calcium, magnesium, and potassium, they are all the way above the top part of the blue band. So that tells me that, okay, is it too much of that, or is the body struggling and things like that? So it warrants further investigation. So let's move on to the section where it talks about your iron all the way to your phosphorus. So she's pretty good in terms of her trace minerals. There are quite a few of them that is within the blue band. So for example, her copper is registering at 1.8, which is good because the bottom part of copper is at about 1.5. And her manganese is also within the the bottom part of the blue band. So is a zinc, and so is a phosphorus. And in terms of the ones that are pretty close, it would be chromium, because she scores at 0.078. The bottom part of the chromium is approximately about maybe 0.085 or 0.09. So she's pretty close. And the only thing that she's a little bit kind of like not touching the bottom part of the blue bands are her iron and also her selenium. So this kind of like give me an idea that, okay, some parts of our body is working, and then some parts are, we could definitely prod it up. In my opinion, every time when a patient has too little of something, it's easier to bump it up, as opposed to patients who have too much of everything. It's harder for them to reduce those down. As you can see on the toxic metal on this patient, this is a different patient. This is a sign to say that, somebody that I've worked with, and to help eliminate the heavy metals in their body, and to kind of like show how doing detoxification program, acupuncture, lifestyle changes has improved this particular patient's toxic metals numbers. So this is a young patient who comes and see me because the parents are always concerned he has chronic allergies and asthma, and the motivation for this 10-year-old boy to come and see me at that time was because he's gonna go for a summer camp, and of course in the woods there's always grass and things like that, so the parents obviously don't want him to have allergies attack and all those and not go to the camp. So the purpose was motivation to get better, and also to go for summer camp. All right, so when he first come and see me, we took a bit of his hair, sent it to the lab, and when the results came back, if you look at the toxic metals portion of this report, you will see that the bottom box where it says lead is at 0.063, mercury is at 0.111, arsenic is at 0.003, cadmium is at 0.011, and aluminum is at 2.08. So this was his baseline measure when we first do the test, maybe about 6 months ago or so. And then, we gave acupuncture, herbal therapy. Thank God he's able to swallow the pills. And then he came back, and with symptoms of the allergies improving and things like that, sleeping better, not having chest congestion, not having postnasal drip. So all those are very important to see whether you're improving with your when you're under my care. And then when we retest him again, so these are his numbers. So what are his current numbers for all these heavy metals? So the number for lead is at 0.213. So you would think, oh, it went up a little bit, and that's okay. But look at all the other numbers. For mercury, it was initially 0.111, and then it went down to 0.090. Not a big of a change, but for an intervention that happened in 4 months, I think we'll take it as a win. And look at the cadmium levels as well. It was initially 0.011, and then you think that, oh, it went up a little bit to 0.021, but that's all right. And so is the arsenic. I want you to pay attention to the arsenic because initially the test went like 0.003, and then after that it so-called went up to 0.004. However, he did not receive that black square that you see in that section of the toxic metals, as opposed to all the other heavy metals that were reflected in that report. Why is that? Because truth be told, all of us are exposed to some form of heavy metals, whether we're retaining it or not. When you see a absolute number but you don't see the black bar, it means that the exposure is less than let's say the general population, and that's pretty good. I really like how much his aluminum level has changed. If you look at the report, it initially said it was at 2.08, and look at this number at 0.92. So it went down for quite a fair bit, and that's what I really want, because in my opinion, every time when a patient do the hair mineral analysis test, among all of the 5 heavy metals, mercury and aluminum always register the highest. So what is a good strategy? Obviously is to reduce these numbers as much as we can and as fast as we can. So you might ask the question like, okay, so where do we get this aluminum and mercury exposure? Apart from food, apart from pots and pans that are aluminum based and things like that, apart from having mercury fillings and amalgam, believe it or not, aluminum and mercury are ingredients in a lot of the vaccines and flu shots that are in the market today. So imagine on somebody so young, who's about 10 years old, who has still years to grow, and being asked to process a heavy metal like that. So there was a struggle between his immune system constantly, and that's the reason why he's always sick with allergies and asthma. And at the same time, the perhaps maybe the brain is also a little bit confused. Oh, am I supposed to grow his bones, or am I supposed to focus on improving his immune system? So whenever there's a disconnect like that, to our immune system, our body will take a beating. So by bringing him to see me, we are able to change that, and we're able to improve his quality of life and things like that. And guess what? He did go to the summer camp, and he had a blast. All right, so the next section of the hair mineral analysis test is the section that says significant mineral ratios. I would say this section kind of like reflects the state of the endocrine hormone. So if you look at the furthest left of that table that says mineral ratio, and then it says Ca slash Mg, which means calcium, magnesium, and then calcium slash potassium, and then magnesium, sodium slash magnesium, sodium slash potassium, zinc, copper, calcium slash phosphorus. All these are indication of your endocrine system. So for example, calcium magnesium is a reflection of your sugar handling. Calcium potassium is a reflection of your thyroid hormones. Sodium magnesium is a reflection of your adrenals. This is more of the day-to-day adrenals, like, do I have the energy to do this test? Do I have the energy to go to work? That kind of stuff. Whereas sodium slash potassium is more of your energy reserves. Like, okay, have I gone through something traumatic, such as going to war, or being a rape victim, an abuse victim, that kind of stuff. Zinc and copper is more a reflection of your sex hormones, and I tend to look at this number a lot whenever a patient come and see me for fertility treatment. And calcium phosphorus is your ability to digest proteins. So as you look to the right, to the next box that say ideal ratio, it goes from top to bottom, 6.67 for the calcium magnesium, and then 4.0, and then all the way down to 2.0 for calcium phosphorus. So this is ideal. And like I said, nobody is 100% ideal everywhere or anywhere whenever we do any type of test. And then the box that says current ratio is actually the patient's results on that. So for example, how do we get the number 10.90? You might ask. So what they do is that they take the calcium number for that patient, which was 109, and then it divided by the magnesium number, which is 10, and there you go, you got 10.90. Because clearly hormones do not exist in isolation. They all interact with each other. And when one section is affected, be rest assured every other sections are affected as well. And all these hormones are controlled by our brain. And and what I do in terms of treatment is to make sure that the brain is sufficiently nourished. Because if the brain doesn't work, how can it then send messages to all these other hormones to do the work that they need to do? And what I always tell patients is this: the brain, through its pituitary hormone, the anterior pituitary hormone and the posterior pituitary hormone, they each have a function. Each of them would control a certain set of all of these other endocrine hormones. So I tell patients, think of it of a mom raising 5 children. Very hard to give individual attention to all the 5 children. So let's say the elderly child, you get on your own and things like that. And then you need to pay attention to the middle child because this middle child is always sick. So what happens is that some of these children perhaps are not being given the attention 100%, but at the same time, they also have to compensate and help this child who's always sick. So that's kind of like a little bit of an analogy. So by doing this hair analysis test, in conclusion, what I would do is that I will pick and choose which one has the highest number and which one would, it will give me a chance as to which section I would want to focus my attention to initially, and then initiate a change. And then once we have a change, we can then go on to work on other section of the hair mineral analysis test. So for example, on the patient that I shared early on about the boy that had the elevated aluminum and mercury, that was clearly what I paid attention with when he was coming to see me, because that number was the highest. And being young, I want to be sure that he at least have a chance to have an improvement in his immune system for years to come. And then for another patient where the toxic metals number are not that high, I would then focus on, oh, let's balance the endocrine. So it's not uncommon whenever I would want to help to balance the endocrine ratios, the one that is on the bottom part of the hair mineral analysis results. I would balance simultaneously the sugar handling numbers, the thyroid numbers, and the adrenal numbers. Here's why I do that, because again, endocrine hormones, they all exist together. When one is hurting, the other ones will hurt too. It may not hurt now, but it will hurt eventually. So same things. Whenever patient have tell me that, oh, they crave sugar, more so for women perhaps. Oh, I want sugar, I want candy, I want chocolate, I want ice cream close to my menstruation. So that would mean that the real culprit to this issue of wanting sugar constantly is actually the adrenal is fatigue. Think of adrenals like how you cope with stress, the energy that you need for the day-to-day running of your life. So if you're running on empty, what would be the quickest way for you to replenish that? Unfortunately, it's always sugar, and unfortunately, it's always simple sugars. So think of anything quick fix, and think of your behavior when you're stressed. What do you do? Do you eat? Do you not eat? And if you eat, do you eat too much? And what is it that you eat? Do you go to McDonald's? Do you then, chips, great. Oh, let's call pizza. And then, let's do ramen noodles. Do you do that? Or do you eat vegetables? When I'm stressed, no, the vegetable is the first one that go out of the window. What I would look for are like, maybe Ferrero Rocher candy. I want a blended ice mocha, that kind of stuff. So, and in doing so, I would then have a fake quick burst of energy to make sure that I could finish my clinic day and then go home and rest and perhaps fix a nice meal when I get home. That does not necessarily happen. And then sometimes, like when I get home, I don't want to do anything because I'm just flat out tired. So if this speaks to you, then let's give the adrenal a chance to regenerate itself. Same goes with people who need caffeinated products, such as coffee or other caffeinated products. Chocolate is one example where there's a little bit of caffeine in it and things like that. So bottom line, the issue or the struggle that you're having is that perhaps a little bit of your adrenal fatigue. So let's feed the adrenals. And what I noticed is that once you're able to handle stress better, you're sleeping better, and you have better mood, you do not want to touch foods that are not beneficial to you. So that's what we do. And think of it long term, when your adrenals are constantly exhausted or you're always having to do a fight or flight, what would it do to your thyroid hormones? Your thyroids get a little bit depleted as well, partly because thyroid is very important to handle your body's metabolism. So think of it running on empty, no gas, but you're still flooring the gas pedal. Then you're using sugar as a quick fix. Your thyroid gonna get affected. So I hope this video helps you to understand a little bit better on the benefit of the hair mineral analysis test. I love doing this test. It's simple to do, and don't hesitate to reach out to me and follow us on our various social media platforms, such as my Healing Circle Community Acupuncture Facebook page, my Instagram page at Healing Circle Acupuncture. Also, please, don't forget to like this channel as well. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to welcoming you to our healing space. Thank you.